Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back. And in this video, we're going to do the remaining two exercises in section 4 of part 5. This is where we left off in the previous video. Because these two remaining exercises are a little bit more tricky, exercise 4 is pretty lengthy, and exercise 5 is a little tricky. So I figured it might be better to do them in a separate video to the rest of the content in which we got to read and do the easier exercises on tuples. Now, we'll be honest, I don't think that the exercises in this section really did us justice in getting enough practice using tuples, but my guess is they're trying to make up for it in this exercise. I think this would have been better if they had broken this entire exercise here into actual 4 parts instead of making it 4 parts under one exercise that you can submit in parts as they talk about here, and I'll read this in a second, but it's a little tricky. So it says here some exercises have multiple parts, and you can receive points for the different parts separately. You can submit a partially completed exercise by choosing Submit Solution with the menu next to the button for executing tests. So we're instructed that in this series of exercises, you will create a simple student database. Before diving in, please spend a moment reading through the instructions and thinking about what sort of data structures are necessary for organizing the data stored by your program. So part 1 is called adding students, and we're told to first write a function named add student, which adds a new student to the database. Also, write a preliminary version of the function print student, which prints out the information of a single student. These functions are used as follows. So we create a dictionary called students, which is empty. When we call the add student function, pass it the dictionary and the name. We do that for a student named Peter, Eliza, and then we call the print student, and we pass the dictionary and Peter, and then with Eliza, and then with Jack. So when we call Peter in the print student, it says no completed course. Same thing with Eliza. But when we call for Jack, it should print no such person in the database. So we need to think about how this is going to work, and I'm assuming that the grades will be for every student will exist in a list. I don't know, we're not told if they're going to be tuples for the grades yet. I'm assuming there will be because, again, this section is about tuples, so I'm pretty sure they're going to make us use tuples in some extent. But we know that each course is going to be, it should live in a list for the student. So the student is going to have their name, which is going to be mapped, the key will be their name, which is going to be mapped to a list of courses. Okay, so let's go to VS Code here, and I'm going to zoom in just a bit more. Hopefully everything is still legible, and collapse this sidebar just a little bit. We're going to define a student and a function here called add student. It takes in a dictionary of student and a name, which is a string, and it doesn't return anything. All we're going to do is say student's name and set that equal to an empty list, and we're going to define the print student function, which takes in a dictionary of students and a name, which is also a type string. And then we're going to say if name in students, then print name followed by a colon, and then print if, actually no, we should probably do an if statement here. If student's name is equal to 0, so if the list of courses basically is empty, then we print, in fact, we don't even need to use that statement, no courses completed, else print name. Oh my God, what just happened? Okay. Name, no such person, to say, or no such student, no such person in the database, like that. So just for testing purposes, I'm going to copy this and do the whole if name equals name is equal to main. Okay. Paste that there and in indent. Okay, I don't know what's going on. Okay, there we go. I'm going to close this, and I'm going to close this as well. I'm going to save and run the code. So here we get Peter, and we get Eliza, and then we get Jack, and no such person in the database. Okay, so I'm going to remove this for now and leave it there and run it and see what it says. Okay, now we get no courses completed, no courses completed. Okay. So what happens if we submit this? We're going to get partial. In fact, I'm going to collapse the entire sidebar here. The row number 2 should be no completed courses. Oh, I wrote this no courses completed. No completed courses. Okay, now again, and run our test, we should get credit for this first part. Nope, still for Andy. Oh, we're missing a colon here as well. Okay, there we go. Oh, your code should canon function named as add course. Okay, so let's see if we can still send the solution to the server and get partial credit. So let me go up here and refresh. Okay, we got partial credit. So now we have 1 out of 4. So we've done this part correctly. So here we have part 2. Part 2, adding completed courses. So please write a function named add course, which adds a completed course with the information of a specific student in the database. The course data is a tuple consisting of the name of the course and the grade. So now we should do this. I'm going to copy that. When the courses have been added, the information printed out changes. So Peter becomes that. Okay, so I'm going to collapse this, and I'm going to close this tab as well. And I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to print some more. Okay, we don't want to add Peter again. We just want to add courses and then print everything out. So I'm going to come back here. I'm going to define a function called add course, which takes in the student's dictionary, name, which is a string, and a course, which is the tuple. Okay, and it doesn't return anything. So we need to add the course to the student. So we're going to say student's name dot append course, like that. So now that we need to update the print statement here so that we can now print what, oh my god, we can print this new information. So we need to be able to print out the number of completed courses. So here we need to do if student's name is equal to 0, then print no completed courses. So let's see if this still prints out the same thing. Okay, so now we get Peter and Eliza printed, but because Peter has a course, so Eliza should have printed no course completed, but for Peter it does not. So what gives? Okay, so silly error. We can't compare it like this. We need to get the length of it. Now for Eliza, it should print no courses completed. Let me clear that. There we go. So for Peter, we get no completed courses, and then Eliza again, no completed courses, and then we call Peter back again. So now we should be able to print else print, we'll call it f string, length of student's name, and this should say 2 completed courses. Completed courses like that, so let's see if it's going to update down here for Peter. So I'm going to clear that and run our code. Okay, so now for Peter it says 2 completed courses. So we just need to put a space here. Like that, run again. Okay, there we go, 2 completed courses. And then we need to loop through the courses and print out the course and the grade. So here we're going to say for course in student's name, print. In fact, we should do course comma grade because we're going to need both. So we can unpack the tuple like that. So we say print course. So let's see what this does. Okay, so we get introduction to programming and advanced course in programming for Peter, which is what we're expecting here to do. So we just got a double indent here. So we're just going to do this, 2 spaces, and we're going to print the grade right next to it. So grade goes here. There we go. So save. I'm going to clear this. Excuse me, clear. Run the code. And there we go. So we get Peter, 2 completed courses, indented 1 space, and then 2 spaces in, we get the course name and its grade printed for both. So then we need to calculate the average grade. So we need to come down here. We need to print. Again, we're going to use f strings. We're going to use the length of students, right, the amount of courses that they took, and we need to keep track of how many courses there are. So I'm going to see here total courses is equal to 0. Then we're going to do total courses plus equals 1. And then we'll do total courses divided by the length. And we're going to say average like that with 2 spaces. Sorry, with 1 space. Average grade. And let's see if we get 2.5 printed. So let's run this. And we get average grade 1.0. So I'm doing something wrong here. What am I doing wrong? Right, so we need to keep track of the current grade. So set that equal to 0 here. Then print. Then check if student has 0 courses. Print 0 courses. Instead of total courses here, we need to do in here current grade plus equals grade. Okay, now we can do here current grade divided by the length of courses. So now if we run this, we should get average 2.5. And there we go, average 2.5. So I think that should be kosher. We can hit the submit button and okay, who has about 2 rows? Now it prints out 4 rows. Peter, 1 completed courses, software development methods, 0. Print student. I'm not printing anywhere else. All right, down here we get Peter, 2 completed courses. Then it prints the course names, and then the average grade, 2.5. Oh, we need to protect this, I think. If length student's name is equal to 0, then print f average grade 0.0. Else print average grade and then the current grade. So I think it might actually be easier to test this if we remove this stuff. We're not going to move it, we're just going to comment it out and use this to see what it's doing when they provide this test case. Whoops, let me clear. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what's the problem? The program is expected to print out 2 rows when executing the function. I think this should still work. Let me just send that solution to the server and see if we get credit for it. I think it's still waiting for the other stuff for parts 3 and 4. Yeah, okay, so we still got credit for it. I think it's waiting for these 2 down here. Okay, so courses with grade 0 should be ignored when adding course information. Additionally, if the course is already in the database in that specific student's information, the grade recorded in the database should never be lowered if the course is repeated. Courses with a grade 0 should be ignored when adding course information. So we never add any course that has a grade of 0. Additionally, if the course is already in the database in that specific student's information, the grade recorded in the database should never be lowered if the course is repeated. So if we see a course that's already in our grades and our courses list, right? If we see a tuple with a grade that's already in the list, and if that re-added course has a grade lower than it, then we also don't change what is being stored, right? So this doesn't become introduction to programming. When we print the student Peter, this grade doesn't become 2 if the new grade entered is lower than the original grade. So that should stay the same. But I guess we can assume that if the grade is higher, then this should change. Okay, so we need to go back in here and we need to update the add course exercise, submission. So I'm gonna close everything here. Okay, so our add course function takes in the student's dictionary, the student's name, and the course that it wants to add. So we need to change this so we just can't append anything. We need to be able to append only if some conditions have been checked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unpack our course tuple into the course name and the course grade. So we can do that by doing this: course name, course grade is equal to the course, like that. So now we can have access to the course name and the course grade respectively. Then what I'm going to do, so we're going to check if course grade, right, if it is equal to 0, right, which is what's stated here, courses with grade 0 should be ignored when adding course information. Then we're just going to return, right? Basically, skip adding this, get us out of this function. We don't want to add anything that has a 0 to it. Any course that has a grade of 0, so we're going to return. Then, if that passes, then that means we can add the course. So what we need to do, but how do we know that? So this is where we go again to think about the other scenario, right? So we can only update the course. We can't update the course grade if the course is re-added and the grade is lower. But I'm assuming we should be able to add one if the course grade is higher. So how do we know where we are to be able to change that index, right? Because tuples are immutable. So what we need to do is replace the entire tuple in the list that holds all the course information for each student. So we're going to use a for loop here. We're going to say for index in range of the length of the student's courses, like that. And then what I'm going to do is say we're going to unpack. So completed course name and completed course grade are equal to the student's name, like that, at the index. So go through the students, and for the given index, right, unpack that tuple. And then what we're going to do is we're going to check. So if the course name, right, so if this up here, the course name that we unpacked from the course parameter is equal to the completed course name, so if this already exists in the student's completed course list, completed name, I should say, Then check if the course grade is greater than the completed grade, right? Because we only want to add if we want to replace that tuple if the grade is higher. So then we can say students name at index is equal to a new tuple, which has the course name and the course grade, like that. And then we can return, right? So that means if this isn't successful, right? If this new course grade is not larger than the grade that exists for this course in the student's course list, then kick us out, return. Then at the bottom here, we have this still, student's name that append course. So this is in the event that the course that we're adding is completely new. So we can still be able to append it. So let's run this. Did they give us any tests? Yeah, they did. So I'm gonna copy what they have here. I'm gonna scroll down and I'm going to paste everything neatly. That, and then let's run the code. So now we have Peter has 2 completed courses, Introduction to Programming and Advanced Course in Programming with these grades. So right, data structures and algorithms with a grade of 0 doesn't get added. Let's say, for example, if we were to give this a grade of 1, then we'll see it added. There we go. Data structures and algorithms, 1, and the average grade is 2.0. Right, so, right, because 3 plus 2 plus 1 is, well, this should be 5. This doesn't, hang on a second. Oh, that's right, right, because 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 6, 6 divided by 3 is 2. So we get average grade of 2.0. So this does make sense. I don't know why that math stumbled me up. But as an example, if we add this here with a 5, then we will see it's still gonna print 2 courses, but the grade is going to be a 5 instead of a 3 for the Introduction to Programming course. And there we go. So now Introduction to Programming has a grade of 5, and Advanced Course in Programming has a grade of 2. Right? So we only change this grade, we replace this tuple if the grade is higher. But if the grade is lower, then we don't do anything. So now we get like that. So now we can submit this, send that solution to the server, and see, now we got points up to 75%, so we've completed 3 out of 4 parts. So now if we go up here and refresh, there we go, we got 3 out of 4 parts. Now we get down to the final part of this exercise. Okay, so let's go. So we're told to please write a function named summary, which prints out a summary based on all the information stored in the database. So we create a dictionary, we add some students, we add some courses for those students, and then when we call the summary function and pass the students dictionary, it should print out the number of students, who completed the most courses, and who had the best average. I apologize for any background noises that you may hear. I have one of my windows open just to let some fresh air in. So there is a little bit of noises coming from outside, but that shouldn't deter us too much. What I'm gonna do here is just copy this, come down here, paste it like so, indent everything, and then we're gonna define a function called summary, which takes in that dictionary of students, doesn't return anything, all it does is just print out information. Okay, so the first things first, we need to print students, how many students we have. This is pretty simple. We're gonna use an F string, and we're gonna do students, and that's going to be the length of the students dictionary, just like that. So now, when we run this, we should see students 2. There we go, so students 2 is being printed. Great, now we need to calculate who completed the most courses. So to do that, we're gonna create some helper variables, one called most courses, set that equal to 0, and another one called student with most courses, and set that to an empty string. Then we're gonna do so for student in students, so we're gonna loop through our students dictionary, And we're going to say if the length of students, right, if the length of the courses is greater than most courses, then what we're going to do is set most courses equal to the length of the student's courses that we're currently looking at, like that. And then we're going to set student with most courses equal to this student. So it would be the student name, just like that. And then we need to print this information. So now we're going to say print. Again, we're going to use F strings, and we're going to say most courses completed, and put most courses and the student's name, student with most courses, like that. So now if I clear this and run it, we should see 2 students and then Peter. There we go. Students 2, most courses completed, 3 by Peter, which is what we see down here. Now we need to calculate what student had the best average. So I'm going to come up here again. I'm going to add 2 more helper variables. Best average, set that equal to 0, and student with best average, set that equal to an empty string, like that. And then we're going to scroll down. We're going to create a helper variable here called total grade, set that equal to 0. And then we're going to do another, we're going to do a loop. So we're going to unpack the course name and grade from the student's course list. So we're going to say for course and grade in student's student. And then we're going to do total grade, plus equals grade, so that, or you can use that to calculate our grade. Then down here, we're going to say if length of students, right, so if the length of the courses is greater than 0, then we need to get the average. So average will be total grade divided by length of students' courses, like that. And then if if the length of the student's courses, am I repeating myself here? I am. I'm so sorry. If average, sorry again for the background noises, is greater than the best average, right? We need to set that. Then best average is equal to the average, and student with best average is going to be that student, like that. And then we can come down here and print, again using F strings, best average grade is best average, and student with best average is going to be that. So they should print out Eliza and whatever, right? Best average grade, 4.5 by Eliza. So let me clear this and run it. And there we go, best average grade, 4.5 Eliza. So if we run our tests, we got 100% of the points. I misspelled courses. Sorry about that. Run this again. There we go. 100% completed. Send that solution to the server. And that's it for this whole exercise. So it wasn't tricky. It wasn't hard, but it was just a little finicky to set everything up. Now this one, wow, this one's going to be tough. Now, I hate to do this. Totally hate to do this. But I'm going to do this in another video because I didn't realize that we're 30 minutes in and we haven't started the second exercise. Now, this one's going to be definitely tricky. They even mentioned it in the exercise info. So you can try and solve this on your own and then come back and watch the next video, which will be me solving this. Hopefully we can get through this one in a short video. If not, we'll go as long as we need to. But this one was definitely complicated because I did think about this off screen, but I'm still having trouble understanding it or trying to, come up with a good solution. So for the time being, I will leave us at this, and then we will finish the next exercise, the final exercise in section 5 in this video, in the next video. All right. Thank you so much for watching.